Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this finds you in this great, big, wonderful world of ours. This is Dana Scranton, and this is Entrepreneurs Without Limits with a focus on helping you to create an authentic life of freedom. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be talking specifically about the idea of financial freedom. And what I want to cover here, just to give you the top level objective, when we talk about financial freedom, all too often, people automatically lock into $1 million. Why that is, or they lock into 100K a year, or some number that is arbitrary. And that's fine. I mean, it's good to have a number, good to have a goal. But this also, in some instances, creates resistance. It creates doubt. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're having a conversation with someone and the subject of financial freedom comes up. The first thing that leaps into the mind of one person is, I want to make $1 million a year. That's financial freedom. The other person says, well, if I have $1 million in the bank, that's financial freedom. And yet another person says, hey, if I can make $20,000 a month, I've got financial freedom. See, there's different interpretations. Part of this comes down to a kind of a cultural thing that we are exposed to. And that is when somebody says financial freedom, they start thinking about millions. They start thinking about wealth, opulence. And that's understandable because that's oftentimes how the media, social media, you name it, portrays financial freedom, where you've got more money than you know what to do with. You can be free to do whatever you wish. Good objective. Now let's talk about financial independence. Now, financial independence is different than financial freedom. And let me tell you how. Financial independence means that you are independent from an income derived from employment. In other words, if you lost your job tomorrow, you have money, cash flow that you have coming to you that is not dependent upon the whims, the decisions, the dynamics of an employment situation. Now, that's one definition of financial independence. That's also a very good one for the times in which we live. You know, right now, today in the 21st century, at this particular time in 2024, remote work has become a real possibility. And as a matter of fact, it's becoming a corporate objective of many businesses because it gets rid of a lot of the structure, the infrastructure, the buildings, the leases, the maintenance, all the things go along with that, reduces the cost of operations, pushing the value-added components of human effort into remote locations. So now the physical asset isn't, they don't need a big building. The physical asset is wherever you, the remote worker, are. But the reality is, in a remote working situation, there is still a dynamic, a component that is the corporate, the infrastructure component, where there are people together somewhere. Now, there are some businesses that run totally virtually. There's nobody that is in the same office as another. Those are rare at the moment, with the exception of some business models. We'll get to those. But the idea is that if you're a remote worker, there is an element of communication, relationships, politics that you are not involved in. That's part of our evolution in the remote work world, is to create the means by which to develop relationships and communication and to eliminate politics as opposed to deal with them. But we aren't there yet, right? So financial independence gives you the ability to navigate a remote work situation with purpose, intent, and courage. In other words, you don't have to succumb to the politics, to the personalities. If it's not working for you, you can press the delete button and you have financial independence to move on with your life. Now, that's not to say that financial independence gives you the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, to whatever scale or magnitude you want. That's not independence. That is the distinction between independence and freedom. Financial freedom gives you the ability to go beyond just your normal life that would exist for, say, if you were in an employment situation. It creates larger options and choices. It gives you more ability to create those rich experiences for the people you care about. Okay, it's larger, freer, and with greater resources than financial independence. So that's the distinction between the two. Now, why do I mention this? The reason is because oftentimes, in fact, just about every time, financial independence is achieved before financial freedom. So your focus initially in your entrepreneurial journey is not financial freedom. It's good to have a goal, but a plan realizing that one of the milestones on the way to financial freedom is financial independence. So let's say that your idea of financial freedom is having $100,000 a month income before taxes and being able to put $5 million in the bank. That then constitutes your definition of financial freedom. Now, on the other hand, somebody, your neighbor, somebody you know, their idea of financial freedom based on their greater purpose and vision and objectives in life may be much less than yours. For example, they may say $20,000 a month is more than enough to give me the freedom to do what I want to do. And if I have $2 million in the bank, by a certain time and a certain age, I'm golden. So those are two different definitions of financial freedom. But before you get there, you have to achieve financial independence. Now, why is that important? Well, very simply this, because whatever entrepreneurial venture you're in, you are either in it part-time or full-time. In terms of your focus, okay, if you're in an employment situation, you have a certain amount of your focus assets that are dedicated to an employer. The other portion of those focus assets are dedicated to your entrepreneurial venture. Now, some people call that a side hustle, a gig. What it really is it's an entrepreneurial venture. It's not a side hustle. It's not a gig. It is a commitment you have made to yourself to develop this business into a full-time business, if that's what you so desire. But the point being is, chances are you're not going to get rich off an employment situation unless you happen to be one of those rare and lucky ones who gets in on the ground floor of a brand new tech explosion, gets founder stock, and is virtually guaranteed that they're going to walk away with millions of dollars. That happens. For the vast majority of us, that's not what happens. So your entrepreneurial venture is a gateway to financial independence. What is your metric? How do you measure that? Your measurement is your expenses, your living expenses. You take all the money that you need in order to live, pay your bills, your mortgage, your rent, your food, your entertainment, your gas, all of the things that takes the money out of your bank account and puts it in the hands of somebody else, because that's what you need to live. Then, on top of that, you add the discretionary spending, vacations, clothing, entertainment, fun, toys, the things that make life richer for you. Those then become the parameters. Add them all up, and I recommend multiplying by 1.25, 25%. That becomes your financial independence target. That's what your entrepreneurial venture is all about, is getting you to the financial independence target. Now, Once you are there, you have a choice. Choice number one, continue with your employment situation, knowing now that you can take every dime from your financial independence achieved through your entrepreneurial venture and invest that. Put it in the bank, invest it, have it grow while you're still employed. That's option number one. Option number two is simply to retire from your employment situation and put a full-time focus on your entrepreneurial venture. Those are the two choices. Now, some people I know have a philosophy. Now, going back to Jim Rohn, one of the business philosophy leaders in the entrepreneurial space, there was a time in his life when he said, I didn't want to quit because I wanted to tell my story, how I'm making more in my entrepreneurial venture than I'm making in my job. I mean, he wanted to keep his job, but there came a time when he said, the job just isn't cutting it, it's in the way. That can be a route. You can hold on to that job until it no longer serves your purposes. But here's the big picture. Declaring financial independence is up to you. The parameters of what it is, the bracket you put around it, it all comes down to you doing a thoughtful analysis of what constitutes financial independence for you. Why is that important? Because it's a realistic number that you can identify, you can put on paper, you can make a plan to get to it, and it becomes a compelling objective, a goal that does not defeat you. It doesn't put doubt in your mind. Now, yes, we entrepreneurs run up against resistance. When we hit resistance, it can create doubt. But here's the point. If you define your financial independence conservatively, realistically, chances are you're not going to have fear and doubt involved. You're just going to work at it knowing that this is the number I want. Put a timeline on it. And it's much easier to achieve your top level goal by starting with a financial independence goal. Now, financial freedom, that's a big number for many people. And it can be daunting. If that number, let's say just for giggles here, that your number is that $100,000 a month number, and right now in your job, you're making, let's just say $10,000 a month. That's 10 times your current income, your $100,000 a month goal for financial freedom. That 10x can be daunting to some people. It can be, what was I thinking kind of thoughts. It's attainable. Trust me, I've seen it time and time again. I have achieved it. And it's not something that is unattainable. There are a lot of people out there that are banking 100 grand a month. You might as well be one of them. But where you're starting, where your focus, your energy is right now today, your commitment, your emotional state, can you really put that $1 million objective up there, that $100,000 a month objective, and feel like it's real to you? It's possible. Do it through meditation, visualization, affirmations, telling yourself, I'm worth $100,000 a month. I'm earning it right now today. But is that something that you personally can do? Is it better for you to be in the financial independence frame of mind until you reach that, and then you shoot for the big one? Because look, here's the deal. When you are sitting on an income that you are creating through your entrepreneurial venture that is equal to or greater than your current employment state, now you are in an emotional state. You have emotional freedom here that allows you to make decisions that you wouldn't make if you were simply employed, right? If you're just having that amount of money coming in from somebody who's writing a check to you for value exchange, chances are that options and choices and decisions are going to be a little bit different than if you had an entrepreneurial venture that was producing as much, if not more money than your day job, right? Your normal job. That's an objective you can lock into your mind, you can feel confident about, you can have the desire and the motivation to create that, the energy, the focus, because you can see it working its way along. It's a smaller distance from 0 to 10K a month than it is from 0 to 100,000 a month. Now you keep in the back of your mind that when you hit that 10X a month in your entrepreneurial venture, you now know how to do the rest of the job. It's gotten easier. You've gotten wiser, smarter, more experienced, more wisdom. It's not as difficult now to make the leap from 10K to 100K than it is to go from 0 to 100K. Okay. So that's an important thought process. Ultimately, you have to sit down and decide what is your box, what is the bracket that you are using to define financial independence and financial freedom. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. Financial independence is something that you have to deal with on a realistic basis. In other words, you have to look at it and say, what are my true expense needs? What do I need to earn to declare independence, including, like I said before, entertainment, discretionary spending, fun money, vacations, those kinds of things. Things that you wanted in your life that you don't have because you're employed. You're an indentured employee, which also includes a lack of time freedom, right? So you have to be realistic about that. Define what it is you truly desire to be financially independent without getting greedy, without getting, too far down the road to what might seem unrealistic. So that becomes your first goal, your first target, your objective. Being realistic, but knowing all along that if you can do that, you can do the big picture, the financial freedom. Financial freedom basically means that you have the freedom to do the things you want to do when you want to do it to the magnitude you want to do it, like I opened with. That's attainable. That becomes the dream, right? But once you achieve financial independence, it's no longer a dream, it's a destination. So keep that in mind. All right, well, that's today's episode. And I think the next episode, we're going to get into identity freedom. That's something that actually kind of segues into the independence and freedom discussion we just had. So with that said, I want to wish you the very best in your entrepreneurial journey. Remember, you are in control of your thoughts, your actions, and the results they produce. So we'll see you on the frontier of possibilities. Take care.